Hi, everyone. Like
By the
Mr.
way, her real name is Isabella, but she may be called her Isabella.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Ishi Hassett. I'm the senior class president, and I was just asked to talk to everyone today about like my experience freshman year and how to like get involved in school. Obviously, my freshman year was like your children's sixth grade years, and it was online, and I was a hybrid student. And when we were in school, we had masks, and it was divided, and it was very hard to get to know people and make new friends. But luckily, I joined student government, obviously, and I played sports, I played tennis, I got involved with theater, and because of that, I made the friends that I have today and these different communities, which I am still a part of. And I honestly don't know what I would have done without them for all these years. And so it's obviously you can't force your kids into joining anything, but as a peer suggestion, it's really, really important. And to just try something new, because Greenwich High School has hundreds of clubs and sport teams that you can be a part of, and there's so much choice. And so yeah, with that, thank you for listening, and have a good rest of your night.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen Foster. I'm the Director of Student Activities. Thank you very much for coming. Some of you may have heard me last year. I went to a couple PTA meetings for the middle schools, so you may have seen me from there. One of the things that I'm going to do with you guys tonight is I want to show you parts of the school website that are very important for activities outside of the classroom or sports. Okay? Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see. Come on in. There's actually a bunch of seats right over here. Or in the front here. That's okay. Okay. So oh, thank you, yes. So if you are brand new to the school, the website is all-encompassing. So it can be a little overwhelming, but in terms of stuff that I'm going to talk about and everything from student activities, what we're going to do is there's one thing that's part of student activities that you can find on actually the homepage of the website. If you scroll down a little bit to the bottom, there are buttons, and one of them is the bulletin. So I just want to show that to you guys. Every day the bulletin is updated, and it tells you, if you keep going, the day, what like letter day it is, A, B, C, D, or H or whatever. Gives you the schedule. If we have an advisor-based schedule, it's updated if we have an early release. And then it has things that are happening. It could be things that are happening only this week. It could be things that are happening long-term. Like right now we have, there's the music program that's going on Wednesday. It's a reminder about no school on Election Day, but we do have school on Veterans Day. Then there's stuff about the Thanksgiving food drive. Our clothing drive is ending tomorrow. So that's always a good resource. I do know that there are lots of students and parents that actually put it on their phone, so you can just click on it directly. And so you're like, oh, I don't remember what day it is. And you can click on it, and you can see that. So that's one thing. That's on the main page of the website, okay? The other part is if you go to Student Life and you hover over it, there's a lot of different options that you have here. So the first one that we're going to go to is clubs and activities. Maybe. It's thinking. There we go. So there's a couple different things on here. One is there is a list of all the current clubs that we have. All right. So thank you. If you click on that, you can see all the names of the clubs, the advisor names, their emails, the student leader names. And if you keep scrolling all the way to the right, it will tell you where and when the clubs meet. So lots of times I'll get questions, well, when is the club meeting? I don't know when they're meeting and stuff like that. All this stuff is on the website. If you go back to the main clubs and activities page, yeah, there's a lot. There is, and we have more clubs coming. If you scroll down a little bit, you can actually sort clubs by different categories. to make it a little bit easier, because the 116 is going to grow very quickly this month and it will be a lot. So if we go back to the student life bar again, up on top. And so again, some stuff is not going to be applicable right now. However, there's information about graduation, proms, musical performances, National Honor Society is under there. The other thing that I want to show you is student employment and volunteer opportunities. So I get a lot of questions all the time about where can my child find a job, or how can they find out volunteer opportunities? Again, this is information. The PTA runs quad jobs for us. So if they're interested in getting, looking for jobs, they can look there. If their job requires working papers and there's age limits and requirements, and I don't know all of them, but the Miss Santos in the main office does, there's information there about that. And the other thing is one-time volunteer opportunities, how to document your service hours, if you're National Honor Society, and then there's a generic page of like places in the area that are looking for volunteer opportunities. Okay. Now, a lot of people panic and they say, well, why does my child need to do volunteering? Or like they need it to graduate, or what do they need it for? When they're juniors, they do need 5 hours of community service for a civics class, but those hours have to be taken the semester they take civics. However, if your child thinks that he or she or they are going to be in National Honor Society, they need hours freshman, sophomore, junior year. That's not my gig, but there is a link, or on here you'll see National Honor Society. They do have to track it. It's their responsibility to keep track of their hours. So I know, for example, I offered volunteer hours at the freshman social and at open house and stuff like that. I give out letters. It is up to the students to keep those letters safe. I always tell them, make a nice little file, both a paper copy one and an electronic file, so that when you're a junior and you're applying for National Honor Society, you can quickly access all of your volunteer hours. Students need it for other reasons outside of school. But hey, there's a giant list there. I have sent emails out about the one-time volunteer list, and also about how to get a notification if the list is updated, so that you can automatically get an email when things are added. Right now, there's a bunch of things that are on there for everything from the turkey trot to some holiday stuff that's coming up. So there are a lot of opportunities there. It comes and goes. It's always usually very busy now. It kind of gets slower in the wintertime, and then we get more volunteer opportunities in the spring. Let's see, student life again, please. So we're not going to click on it, but Student Life and National Honor Society, that's where you'll find out that information. Student government, we just had our elections for freshmen. We're going to do student reps. If your child is interested in being a representative for their grade, that application is live now, and I think it's due next week, I think. So if your child's interested in that, tell them to look out for an email from Mr. Silkman. And again, student parking, that's for when you're seniors. And now let's go to student activities itself. Student life, and then student activities. And then again, kind of on the side here, Cardinal News, which is our school. It's a little, it varies on the time. It's a little video that one of the, yep. Again, clubs and activities, graduation. If you scroll down, there's also information about yearbooks in here. So see the Daily Bulletin, the school store, the yearbooks, senior portraits. So why am I showing all this? There's tons of information on there. It takes a while to kind of learn it all, but there really is, this is a great resource for parents to kind of know, hey, what's going on in the school? Because this will have when there are musicals, when there's other theater production events going on. The Daily Bulletin will have information, all sorts of things from, hey, winter sports is now, you can now register for winter sports, to the Thanksgiving food drive and everything. So student life, all those different tabs that I just showed you, is going to be really helpful for you as a parent to be able to connect to your child to say, hey, I noticed that this was going on at the school. Are you interested in doing this? Or, I saw this, you might be interested in this club. For the students, I send this stuff out. I think the beginning of school is a little overwhelming for some of them, most of them. So, this could also be a resource that you have a conversation with your child about, and say, hey, this is all here, take some time, because there's so many ways for the students to get involved. We have classes, we have the whole fine arts department, we have the athletics department, and then there's tons of student government clubs and lots of different kind of one-off things that we do during the school year. When we had homecoming, all the information was on the Daily Bulletin about homecoming. When we have our second semester kickoff, Spirit Week, that information will be on there. So this is kind of a great place for the parents to kind of get an idea of what's going on, other than when you ask your child, hey, how was your day? Great. Anything going on? No. Anything new at school? No. Trust me, I have 4 in college right now. You get nothing from them, nothing. So that is really how you guys can help facilitate those conversations with your child about kind of what's going on in the school and how they can do something. It's a different conversation than classes. How are your classes going and stuff like that. Questions about that? Mm-hmm.
Could you please explain how the students opt out of flex time to go to a club?
So they have to sign up. So they have access to My Flex Learning, and if they want to say they're in a club that meets every day A, then they go on My Flex Learning and they have to sign up to go to that classroom and to go to that club. Yeah. All right. Any more questions about this? Okay, the other plug that I'm going to give tonight is about My School Bucks. So you might be very familiar with My School Bucks. It's the platform that we use for the Student Lunch Fund. We also use it, I use it a lot for other events that are going on at the school or at the school. For example, there will be a freshman trip to Six Flags in the springtime. We do a sophomore trip, we do proms, all sorts of things. I will send out links. The link will go to My School Bucks, like if you want to purchase the ticket for your child to go to Six Flags. The link will be on My School Bucks, but I just want to talk about it a little bit. The lunch fund is one account under your My School. Well, you have your main account for My School Bucks, right? When you log in, you can go to lunch or you can go to what's called the school store. The school store is where there will be links for things such as the Thanksgiving food drive that we're running right now, for you when it's time to purchase the Six Flags tickets. The school lunch fund money, if you put money in that, you cannot use that money to purchase a Six Flags ticket. It's separate, but there's something that doesn't do automatically, and I really wish it did, but it doesn't. You have to, if you go in the settings, you can click send me a receipt. Otherwise, if you pay for things through My School Bucks, you don't get a receipt. And the reason I'm doing this plug is because I often get an email, I think I bought my Six Flags ticket, but I don't really remember. Because when you do it through My School Bucks, you don't get that nice little automated email that says, here's a confirmation email. You can if you go into the settings and do it. So remember, you have one My School Bucks account. Lunch fund is separate from the school store, which is where the links are that I send out when you go. Questions?
Is that the only way to pay?
It is not. You can still do check or cash. Absolutely. Yes?
I'm not familiar with the My School Bucks, so do they have access, or we can also register ourselves and have access?
So if you go to, can you go to the Greenwich Public School website? And then go to departments, food services. Since the majority, and this carries over. So if you were here and your child had a lunch account in a middle school or an elementary school and you already set up that account, it's still active. It's still good. My School Bucks. So if you go to departments, food services, and then My School Bucks, that's how you can create the original account. You can do it that way. And there's also an app for your phone. So, and you can check like your child's balance and you can see actually how much they spend each day. Right. Someone else had their hand raised. don't remember who it was.
Quick question. Did I hear that only seniors can park at school?
Seniors are guaranteed 1 semester of parking their senior year. Juniors can park mid-May through the end of school once the majority of our seniors go on internship. Yes, we have limited parking, so seniors are guaranteed 1 semester. Yes. Any other questions? All right, thank you. I don't know who's next.
Seats up front here if anybody wants to.
And over there as well, and over there. I don't know who's up.
Thank you. I'm up.
Thank you.
Hey, look at that. Come here, Lisa.
Okay.
Good evening. Hi, I'm holding the Mr. Microphone for the video. It feels really, really weird to have to do this. I'm Peter Bernstein. I'm the co-president of the PTA along with Lisa Sylvester. Thank you. Hopefully you all saw us at open house night. If you didn't, let me just give the very, very brief plug, but I'm going to do something else first. Congratulations, you have survived the first quarter of school. I think it ends tomorrow. So your students survived. Look at that. You made it. You maybe thought it was going to be rough, but it wasn't so bad, was it? 3 more to go this year. Don't rush the year. So somewhere in the room, hopefully, our 9th grade coordinators, Rebecca Carson and Kelly Phillips. Are you here? Hey, there they are. All right. So these 2 lovely volunteers are here to answer your questions. You can email them. They have a 9th grade coordinator email address. You can send a question to them. They will help get you to the right place. But they're your conduit for information if you can't find it elsewhere. And if you can't remember 9th grade coordinator, ghspta@ghspta.org. If you've joined the PTA already, thank you very much. If you haven't joined the PTA, let me give a plug for doing that. Every penny you donate comes back to the school for our students, our teachers, and our building. It goes in the form of field trips. We bring speakers and activities into the school. We help with equipment for classrooms. If you've seen the monitors out in the halls, things of that sort. Always working on projects for the school. That's what we do. Now, you can donate your time to the PTA. We're happy to have it. We'll take as much as you'd like. Remember when your kids enjoyed having you come into the elementary building? They didn't want that in middle school, right? In the high school, depending on the kid, they don't mind it as much. Mine that just graduated didn't mind at all. My junior, he avoids us like the plague. So if you don't want to volunteer or your child doesn't want you here, but they can't stop you, by the way, you can donate. You can donate by joining the PTA, or you can make a donation to the PTA. And again, we will repurpose those dollars for things for the school. It's a very, very helpful thing to do. We encourage everybody to, we encourage the teachers to take the kids on trips and bring activities into the building. If you get towards the end of the year and your kid hasn't had a field trip or something going on in the classroom, well, they may not tell you about it, by the way, the field trip they have to, encourage your kid to tell their teacher that they should do something, because that is what we're trying to do. And we do that at the staff meetings. We do that through emails to the staff. But we want every kid to have that kind of enrichment activity, and that's kind of what we're about. So anyway, enjoy your evening. Reach out to your coordinators if you need anything. And Tuesday's election day. Don't forget to vote. And a really good thing to do is take your kids so they know what it is to live in a democracy. So thank you very much.
Yeah, just on the head. Good evening, everyone. I'm Peter Giorgio. I'm the athletic director here at Greenwich High School. I'm going to talk to you really briefly just to go over some differences for some of you that had kids play sports in middle school. One of the main differences here is we have our new registration system. Any of you that have kids playing on freshman teams will know it already. It's called Final Form. So if you go to our little tab and go to Athletic Home, and you scroll down, our information's there. Before you go a little further down, it's right there. I just want to put a really cheap plug in because the SROs will do it later. We have an Instagram account called GHS_GoBigRed, much easier to remember. If you guys want information on how our varsity teams are doing, you could follow us on there. That's where we'll pull out information. We are one of the more, if not the more successful high schools in the state of Connecticut. In the last 10 years, we lead the way with 49 state championships, and we're looking to build on that. So far this year, our girls cross country already won FCACs, and the rest of our teams are playing right now in the FCAC tournaments. But more importantly for today, I wanted to show you guys how to register for those of you that have kids that are thinking about doing winter registration, which is open. You go to the bottom, hit registration. Our system is Final Forms. As you scroll down to the bottom, you have the button to click in, but a little above that, we have our playbook to show you guys how to do it. And basically, what you need to do is your parents, or you being the parents, I should say, start the account, right? You set up your account first, and you can add your student, and we ask you to pick one sport per season. The good thing about this now, if some of you have kids that are in the middle schools, we just introduced it to the middle schools. So moving forward, all you would have to do year after year is just verify your information, add your students as they do sports, and pick which sport they're going to do. It's going to be much easier, much better way of keeping everything uniform together as well. So that's already launched at the high school. We just launched it at the middle school. All 3 middle schools have it. I would still urge you for middle school to contact your middle school for information. But if you're having problems registering it, on that very first page, my email's there. Send an email. I don't mind calling you guys, but the best way to contact me is via email. Now, for the biggest changes from middle school to high school, those of you that have kids that are doing freshman sports, every freshman is automatically eligible for sports when they come to the high school. As soon as they graduate middle school, they're ready to play. The big thing is when they go from the fall to the winter season, we have eligibility rules through the CIAC. The main one being that your kid has to be passing 4 what they call Carnegie credits. A Carnegie credit is a class, one class that meets 6 times the cycle, or a combination of 2 classes that meet 3 times the cycle. So a health class and a art class would consider 1 Carnegie credit, whereas your science class, that 1 class alone counts as a credit. So they need to be passing 4. The other thing is that we have here that's different from the middle school. We also have an attendance policy where your kid has to be in school that day to participate in either a practice or an event afterwards. I know we're running a little behind, and I'm not originally on the docket for today, but we thought this information would be helpful. I'll open up to a few questions if you have anything on registration, and then we'll move on to the next speaker. Any questions? Yes.
This is more of a public service announcement, but I made the mistake of registering for 2 things and then got dropped from 1. So just make sure it's 1, right?
Awesome. Thanks for bringing that up. So what I will do, if you register for 2 things, if one of them is a no-cut sport, like for instance, indoor track, we don't cut, I will drop your kid from indoor track as I look at them, only because if they don't make the team, like for basketball, you could always call me and say, hey, my kid didn't make the basketball team, can I have him try out for indoor track? Because we don't do cuts there, and we could add them to that. But if you're going to do, let's say, basketball and wrestling, going at the same time, you can't play 2 sports, and tryouts are at the same time. So you're going to have to pick one or the other.
If our child does a sport outside of school, can they get the Carnegie credit?
Outside of school is not controlled by us. So if your kid is doing like yeah, you just have to be passing to be eligible to play for our sport. If you're doing crew, none of this applies. This only applies to sports that are sponsored by the CIAC and are run at the high school. So anything outside, none of this applies to. Yes?
What are the no-cut sports?
Usually the no-cut sports are indoor track, outdoor track for the winter. The other ones have some sort of limit depending on things like transportation, uniforms, stuff like that. But we offer a wide variety in the winter, anything from like the common basketball. We have fencing. Last year, we had our first state champion in fencing, girl saber. So we do offer a lot of things. And again, sports are a privilege, not a right, and people won't make teams. We also have a really good intramurals program after school for your kids. They could attend the, right now it's the weight room, but we kind of add more stuff as we go along.
I've looked for intramurals. I didn't see them on the website. And I asked them, and I didn't know that there were intramurals. How do we find out information?
It should be on the website. Your kids should know about it because we put it on the monitors throughout the whole building. So far, the only thing we've offered was the weight room, but now between seasons, we'll offer stuff in the gym like basketball or soccer. That's usually done by Kathy Steiner, who runs our intramural program, but the kids will know about it. It's run throughout the whole school, and we also have intramurals for like, you know, if you miss a phys ed class, you can make it up during intramurals as well. So that's another positive of that. Any other questions? Awesome. One more.
Girls wrestling
We allow girls to wrestle. It becomes co-ed then, but girls can wrestle. However long they want to. Yep.
And there's a separate state championship for that.
Correct. Mr. Pereira used to be a wrestling coach, so that's why he knows that answer really well. Anyone else? Guys, it was nice seeing you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Good evening, all ninth grade parents. I'm Caleb Kayland, and I'm the student body president here at Greenwich High School. Welcome to the ninth grade parent meeting. I want to briefly talk to you about my experience here at GHS and how you can encourage your children to get connected with the high school over the next 4 years. Coming from someone who's had to experience their freshman year fresh out of COVID, I can definitely say that this high school can be quite overwhelming at first. I was full remote for my first semester, so coming back to this huge place was a significant switch for me. Because of this, I had not really been involved in many clubs or sports, not even student government at the time. One thing I do look back on and can say I wish I had done differently would definitely be getting involved with the activities earlier on, not only to be more well-rounded, but to explore my interests sooner. You may wonder how I was able to accomplish winning my position as student body president, given I didn't have much involvement at first. I'm an example of what can happen by putting yourself out there and by finding your communities here at GHS. Ultimately, it's never too late to get involved. And speaking of what Mr. G was talking about earlier, we have over 150 clubs in 42 varsity sports, so you can imagine how wide of a selection there is when it comes to extracurriculars. From academic clubs to fine arts to technology and, of course, student government, this school has so much to offer us as students. I urge you to encourage your children to join a club during flex time or before school. It will help them greatly in the long run and form lasting connections with others, as I have been able to do. I'm excited for our current ninth graders to dive into GHS and contribute to our vibrant school community. Thank you for having me tonight, and best of luck to your students this year.
Thank you, Caleb. So welcome. My name is Thomas Pereira. I'm the Dean of Students at the high school. So just by a show of hands, how many is their first go around the high school? All right, keep those hands up. Now look left, look right, find your support system, okay? You're gonna need it. It's not a bad thing, okay? So that's awesome. So welcome. So I want to really talk about support here at Greenwich High School. I know you've heard about the diversity of clubs, you've heard about athletics, you've heard about all those things. We have a multitude of things that we offer here. But one of the great things that we do here is make a really big building feel small. So we have the house system. There are 5 houses. Your students have been assigned to a house. If you've been here this is your second child for the 9th grade, then you're probably in the same house. But that's really your lifeline to the high school. That's what makes a building that's 2,700 kids feel like a building that's about 500-600. So it's very important. If you hear anything, if you're talking to your kid and your little parental sensors are going off, reach out to your school counselor, reach out to the assistant dean, reach out to a teacher. You know, we have about 200 staff members here. So it's really incredible that each of our students have the ability, and most do, to find that one trusted adult that they have. So please reach out. We work in conjunction with the parents to make sure that this is the safest, most comfortable environment. We understand that high school, much like middle school, it's tough. It is. And navigating this building is not easy. Okay, and I'm not going to lie to you and say that kids aren't mean to each other, because they are. All right, but it's our job to make sure that everybody feels safe and comfortable here, and we do that with the information that we gather from our students and from our parents. If you feel it's in the best interest not to act on some of the information, we're going to have that conversation. So we will, again, whether we are staff here or parents, we have one guiding thing. That's your kids. You guys give us great trust when you send your kids here from 8:30 in the morning, and if they're playing sports or clubs, till maybe sometimes 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And we don't take that lightly. Okay, so the more that we can build that bridge and connection, Will we see eye to eye and everything? Absolutely not. I'm not going to lie to you. But we have one guiding principle, like I said, that student, that child. So please make sure you help build that connection. That's an important connection to build. It comes with the school counselor. It comes from the house assistant dean. Okay? So, speaking of safety and security, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our two fabulous school resource officers, Officer Wallace and Officer Reich. Thank you. I gave him the
All right, hi everyone. My name's Officer Fred Reich. I'm in my 6th year as a school resource officer, and this is my partner.
Hi, my name's Officer Wallace. The kids know me as Officer Wally. This is my third full year as a school resource officer. So just to tell you briefly about what we do here, we really have 3 main roles, right? One is to keep everyone in this building safe, and we don't take that lightly. We take it very seriously. That is our biggest goal. We also act as educators here. And what I mean by that is a lot of the classes will be in guest speaking, like Wall in America. We'll be doing that soon. We're guest speaking where the kids get to learn from us directly. We also teach every 10th grade health class. We go in there, talk about a lot of different things that pertain to 15 and 16-year-olds. And lastly, what I think is really important is we act as mentors here. And we try and build positive relationships with the students here. We don't want to be the big, scary police officers. We want them to come up to us, be able to talk to us. So a few ways we do that. We both coach here. He assistant coaches wrestling. I assistant coach with track and field. So we're very involved with the kids. We're at all the sporting events, whether it's prom, basketball, football, hockey. We're at prom. We're at graduation. We really want the kids to get to interact with us. We help with some of the clubs here as well. And another thing we've been doing recently is we bring in therapy dogs. We have like a rotation of 7 dogs that have been coming in just to try and put a smile on the kids' faces because we know they're under a lot of stress and our staff loves it as well. So just know we're here for you and the kids. I know Mr. G plugged his Instagram. I'll plug mine as well, or ours as well. We have an Instagram. It's Greenwich_PD_SRO. We try and share a lot of things that are going on in the school, the community, and we try and be really interactive on there. We definitely encourage the kids to follow it, but also you as well, all right? So just know we're here for your kids. We are a resource to you. That's our name, School Resource Officers, all right? Thank you very much.
Well, now we are way ahead of schedule as we were behind before. Do you guys want to say anything before I start? No. Okay. What I have is, I'm Lisa Dempsey. I'm the technology coach here at the high school, which means I assist all 300 staff members with what they do using the technology in the building, but I'm also in the business department and the learning facilitator of the business department and family consumer sciences department. So I wear a lot of hats, and I've been in this building for 28 years, been teaching for 36. There's not a whole lot that I have not seen as yet, and every day I still, well, I shouldn't say every day. Most days I still really love what I do. You all know that item. So what I want to do today is to give you an overview about Schoology and Aspen, and I'm sure that you have seen Aspen in action, where you have the progress reports, and soon upcoming is the end of the marking period. The end of the marking period is this Thursday, and the grades will not come out, though, until the following week, probably the following Thursday, the 9th or the 10th of November. And those students right now, where everybody's getting to crunch time to try to make sure everything is in before then. But I want to give you an overview because they're in 9th grade now, and you want to have them be independent, but they still need a little support. So what I want to be able to do is to show you what is available for you to be able to help them to become more independent and more responsible for their own learning and for the deadlines that come up on each and every day. So let me just pull up. I'm going to start off. If you haven't grabbed the handout, I have the directions back there about some of the places to be able to get access. So the information technology section of the Greenwich Public Schools website has a lot of links and a lot of information on there. So I'm on the information page and under the parent portals. And when we're on the parent portals, because the access that you have is going to look different than the access that your students have. Aspen is our database. That is where all grades are. So all of the grades that students receive on classwork, assessments, is all going to be in Aspen. It's also very important that your data in Aspen is accurate, meaning cell phones, home phones if they're there, and any contact information you have, you want to be able to be sure that it is accurate in Aspen. So in Aspen, which is our database, when you look for Aspen Help, there are many things on this site of where to get the help you need and how to use Aspen. You can set up in Aspen alerts. So if a grade goes below a certain percentage, that you can receive an alert. I have found, teaching here, that nothing receives a response faster than a low grade in Aspen. Like, I can be begging kids to be able to make sure the assignment gets in, and until that grade goes in Aspen, I get silence. That grade goes in, within a minute sometimes I get an email saying, but, okay, and I'm like, it's great. So if you want to ensure that you get a response, that's the way I know I can get a response quickly. So the link, let me go through a few things in Aspen to be able to show you. What I am in as a parent, we have our test students, so there's not a lot of information in here, but on the main page is where you will see, first of all, I have to make sure if you have multiple students, it's still one login, and all your students will be listed under that. So I want to go to the Greenwich High School test student, and right now they have nothing showing up this today or tomorrow, but there is the recent activity on the bottom side. I don't know if you guys are able to see this clear enough, but the recent activity is going to give you what the assignments were, what the grade they received, and that will go down under the recent activity. On the upper right-hand side, there are the links to other items as well. So when you click on the Family tab, I have to log back in, excuse me for a moment. Inactivity will do that. So under the Family tab, you will again see all of your students listed here. So I'm going to go to our high school site to be able to see all of the information you have with your address. You want to be able to make sure, you're very clever, one Figure It Out Drive in Old Greenwich. You want to be sure again that your contact information is accurate. And here you will also see their attendance and any transcripts, so our student of all the records that they have at that point, their schedule, and this is very helpful because it will show you where the student is on any given day. We just finished day H, notice it's in red right there, and it will go through based on the time of day exactly where they are located during that time. And the notification is where you would be able to set up that notification of any grade. Attendance should always be checked because that's how you're going to be, one of the ways you're going to be notified if a student was either absent or tardy in class. And then the grades. I am begging you to not put a threshold of 99 or 100 because they are not going to be perfect. So we want to be able to have them breathe a little bit, but you also, again, keep tabs of what it is that they are doing. Under the Academics tab, again, all your students would be listed here, so we're just going to go under Greenwich High School. Right now, we have only enrolled in personal finance and marketing, which just happen to be the courses I teach. So I have our demo student in here, and it will give you the term performance of the grade that they are at the present time. Aspen is live, which means as teachers enter grades, students and parents see the grades as they go in. It will give you the details of the course. I got to get out of Advisor Base because it's not grading. So if we're taking a look at, let's go to my marketing class, and all the assignments. Here is something I really want to be sure that you take a look at. On this screen, you'll notice that every single assignment is out of a percentage. It's the one thing that drives me absolutely batty when it looks at Aspen, because what it does not take into account is that bar, is that you see some assignments for classwork maybe out of 18 out of 20, but then they jump to other things that are 90 out of 92. When you look at the point value, I'm trying to get kids not to get hung up that if you receive a 6 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, it's only 10 points. So it may say 60% or 80%. Don't stress the smaller stuff. take a look at the larger point values. So when you have to take a look at where they're at and what they're doing, I'm not saying ignore the others, but just be aware that all assignments are not created equal. Teachers grade on a scale what's called categories total points, which means there'll be categories for assessments, categories for classwork or formative assessments, summative assessments, homework. And when you take a look at what those assignments are, they have different weights. So be aware that just because that bar is there is showing everything out of 100%, not every assignment is created equal. Okay, not every assignment is created equal. So if there's something to focus on, I always say go for the stuff with the big points. That is where you're going to get the most bang for your buck when it comes to focusing on the assignments. So that is one thing you will see. The other piece you will see is sometimes, did I not put anything in here? I'm going to go back to my other course where sometimes you'll see some codes. And these codes are universal across the building, where NS means not submitted. And the reason why you put an NS in and it calculates as a 0 is because it tells the student, if you do not make up this assignment, this is where your grade is going to be. They can still make it up. It's just that right now, if you choose not to do that assignment or turn it in, it stays a 0. Same thing with absent excused. Absent excused, AE, means they were out that day. They either had to leave early for sports or they were homesick. AE, again, calculates as a 0 because until that score is made up, it is a 0. It really concerns some students, but they're there to let them know exactly where they stand at this moment in time. So if they never do make up those assignments, that's what their grade is going to be. Again, can be done. Now, if there's ever you see an AU, which means absent unexcused, school policy is when you cut a class, you get a 0 for any work that day or any work that is due that day. So we truly encourage parents to make sure if your child is home, to make sure you call the attendance line. And if they go to the doctor, please make sure that you bring a doctor's note back in if you are excusing them for a medical appointment. Without the note, the absence will not be cleared. So that's a little bit about Aspen. And the attendance is also going to be here. I have not put any attendance in for the student because they just joined my class today. But the attendance for that class will also be in. Does anybody have any questions about Aspen? Yes. So if you have a correction on that, you call your house administrative assistant. So they will be able to assist you with that. Yes. Their student ID. Good question. Let's see. It's on the family tab under details, the demographic, the local identifier is their student ID. The state identifier is a different number. You want the local identifier as their student ID number. Any other questions about Aspen? Yes?
Standardized tests scores, will they be?
They actually are in here, I believe, under, let me just check. I thought I saw those in there, so I got to be on the right tab, so hold on. And the other thing to keep in mind, every tab gives you a different view. So sometimes it gets a little bit, you have to just be careful as to what tab you're in to be able to get to that. That's a really good question about where they are in here somewhere. At least I thought I saw them. Oh, under assessments. Family assessments. That's how you're going to get to the standardized test scores for your students.
Quick question.
Okay, yes.
So I saw something in the calendar about SAT. Our students in 9th grade, they don't take the SAT.
The 9th graders did take the SAT, the PSAT, and I am not sure, honestly, what's happening with the SATs, but that would be March 20-something. Yes. I don't quote me on this, but I believe they go through your counselors. I'm not sure if I don't even know if they're out yet, but I'm not sure. I can't speak to that specifically. I don't know that answer. Any other questions? Yes?
My daughter was excused for a lot of sports activities, but I kept on getting a lot of unexcused absences. Will that correct?
So if there's an absence for sports, I would, Ms. Stevens, the administrative assistant down in athletics, if a student is been excused for sports, there would be a DE for dismissed early for sports. I would contact if it's through athletics for the athletic office, I would contact Ms. Stevens first and then contact the house attendance person. Any other questions? Okay, so that's Aspen. So that's one place to keep in mind to be able to take a look at that. The other place to take a look at is Schoology. And Schoology is our learning management platform. And again, I'm on the district website here, and under Schoology Help, we'll give you a lot of how-tos and what to do in that. So I'm going to go back into Schoology, and you're going to log into Schoology at Schoology.com. And again, if you have multiple students, you can choose up top here. So I'm going to go to our high school student. And our high school student right now is enrolled in 3 courses. They're enrolled in personal finance and marketing and global studies. So I am going to just take a quick look. And the one thing I want to bring up to your attention is the right-hand side. This is great for executive functioning because it gives them the ability to see what's coming up and when things are due. Under upcoming, it will give them, I believe, over, I want to say about 15 days out, and anything that is popping up there. So let's go, I'll take them to their marketing class, and you will see on the course, you will see what is activities that are planned for that course. The calendar view is what I highly recommend students utilize as a way that they can help plan going forward. So on that Schoology page, again, I'm on the calendar view. This is just for the marketing class. If you go out to the calendar view up top, it'll give them the calendar view for all of their assignments for every class. Great technique, again, to try to plan and to see what is coming up, to be able to help them plan accordingly. Again, we're now at the end of the quarter, so everything is sort of in crunch time over the next few days to be able to get those final assessments, final grades in for the quarter. Especially helpful when you know what's coming up so you can plan your evening and your time spent in learning centers to know what they can do. But the calendar feature of this, you're not sure what class it is, if you just hover over, it will give you the assignment and the class that is there. And when you click right on this, it's going to take you, well, it should take you right to the assignment that it is right there. So quick and easy way to be able to get through Schoology. One of the, I think, the biggest changes from coming from the middle schools up to 9th grade is now they are responsible. There's more, not that they weren't responsible before, but there's deadlines. There's more classes. There's a lot more activity, a lot more choice. But these programs between Aspen and Schoology, it really will help them be able to know what's upcoming, to get those dates set, and to know what they need to be able to do. So when you're looking at, again, your courses that your student has, they're going to be listed here, and you can see then what is done. And any groups they're part of would be there as well. And it's something, again, if you want to see what they're doing, what the view I'm in is your view. It's what you see, a parent would see. So you can help them, again, just see what's upcoming to be able to say, when they say, oh, I don't have anything to do, that's rare. That would be very, very rare when they say there's nothing that they can do, because there's always something upgoing. Any questions that I can answer?
So do we get individual logins as parents?
A parent would get the login, yes. So as the login, you're going to get, if you're not sure what your login, it says logging into Schoology for the first time, or if there's any issues of what to do, you want to be able to go, and there's also a video on the website to get you through some of those things. And if you have any questions about any of the portal information, I believe you would email parent _, let me just double check that. I believe it's parent_portal at, let me just make sure. I believe the email for help is parent_portal at greenwich.k12.ct.us. We'll be able to get you into the portal for that. Yes? Those are if a teacher has not, if the student either has not turned it in or the teacher has not graded it as yet, it will show up as overdue. If the student actually has not submitted the assignment, it will say overdue. Like I said, these are all things that we just put the student in the course. Our test student, she didn't even know we put it in there, so she has no idea that we did this. But overdue assignments would be there as well.
So it would say overdue.
Yes. I believe on this one it is that it has not been submitted as yet. Only, yes. Any other questions? Yes. What do you mean advisor? No, they don't get alerts on Schoology that they're not doing that. There's no alerts for that. Yes.
Hi, I'm familiar with Schoology. Some teachers I've spoken to only use Google Classroom.
They may. So what it is with the Google Classroom, they're supposed to be linked so the due dates are there and that you're able to get to the Google Classroom right from Schoology. You should contact the teacher because there are ways to do it, and I'm happy to help that teacher make sure that those are connected. I'm a little busy around here. But the calendar feature, especially for executive functioning and trying to make sure they know what's coming up, it's super important that we put them in one place. Yes?
Do marking period grades show up on the transcript?
No. On the transcript, only the final grades show up. Except when you get to senior year, all of a sudden it really matters because those first marking period grades get sent off to colleges. So they do see every quarter. But up until that point, the only grades on the transcript are the final grades for the course.
And how is the final grade calculated off of the marking periods?
It's usually if it's a semester course, it's Mr. Mayo, the way they're calculated. It's usually 40%, 40%, 20%. 40% for quarter one, 40% for quarter two, and 20% for the final. If it's a full year course, it would be 20, 20, 20, 20 for each quarter, 10% midterm, 10% final, if they're full year courses. But our freshmen, just so you know, the 9th grade English and Social Studies courses, even though they're with the same teacher in the same block all year, it's actually a semester course. So they will receive credits for semester 1 and semester 2. So those are actually, even though they're with the same teacher all year, it is semesterized. Yes?
There's a test on the last day of the marking period. Is that automatically?
It does not automatically, but most of the time, that would be a teacher by teacher item. But most of the time, if you're giving it the last day of the marking period, it would, most likely it is part of that quarter. And you'll be able to know if it's in Aspen in that quarter, you know that that's part of that quarter grade. Any other questions about Schoology? One thing I forgot to mention, email. Email is our main method of communication. Please make sure your students are checking their email every morning, every afternoon. If they're checking their social media, they should be checking their email. It's a very important way to communicate, to make sure that teachers are sending things out through Schoology, sending them to them individually, sending them things out through Aspen. They have to check their email on a regular basis. And I'm not saying just once a day. That is, a lot of communication happens that way. So please, please, please have them there check their email regularly. They may think it's a lot of spam. It's another thing from this person. It's the way we make sure everybody gets the same message, or a way that we have to contact or have a student meet with us. Communication is key, and email is the way to do that. So if I know they check their social media multiple times a day, they can check their email. They all have the apps on their phones. They have to check that. So we would appreciate, as teachers, would really appreciate help in that regard. Any questions? Any other questions I can help you with? Yes? That's beyond my scope right now. Mr. Mayo can speak to that.
The no, they don't need to use. Well, they need to show their ID card, whether it's the ID card that's on the phone or a regular hard copy ID. So you can get one of these. You can still get one of these in student activities with your picture on it. Otherwise, they can download the digital ID on their phones and show what's happening and we're going to probably stop doing this fairly soon. Is what happened was a lot of different students were using other students' PIN numbers. So in order to stop that from happening, we made the students show us who they were, and we'll take any ID. If you don't have a ID card that day, we'll take any kind of ID. I mean, we're not trying to stop anybody from eating lunch. So, yeah, it's one of those things that pops up and you deal with it, and then we'll move on from that. Go ahead.
Is there a physical ID card and a digital card?
You can have one or the other. You actually could have both if you wanted to. What's that?
The student decides?
Yeah, they can decide which one they would like. But
Digital ID is that we're able to, in addition to the email that Ms. Dempsey has spoken about, we're allowed to push out a lot of notifications for there. So understanding that students, just about with social media and notifications and pop-ups, all that fun stuff, we decided to try to transition to the digital portion of that, so that way they can see, like, we have a dance coming up, we have the game coming up,
Yeah, no, because I only know the digital version. I didn't know that.
yeah, you can still get a hard copy. If you want a hard copy, you can still get a hard copy. That's not a problem. Student activities, Mrs. Foster was in here before, and you can certainly go to student activities. They'll take your picture, get a card, off you go. All right? Yes, ma'am.
General question.
Yeah.
My understanding is, obviously the kids can have their phones, and each teacher has their own, guidelines on phone usage, right?
No, each teacher doesn't have their guidelines. We took that away from the staff. We said to them, you can either have your students put them in the pockets that we provided with them on the wall of their classroom, or you have your students put them in their backpacks. It's one or the other. If we see a phone, we take the phone. And then we give it back after the class is over, because God forbid if they walk around without their phone for 5 minutes. So. So, but yeah, so we had to go strong on that because there was a lot of phone usage in classes, which and I have to tell you, I'm in classes every day, and the classes I go into, I've yet to see a phone, and I've been tomorrow's a big day for me. I'm going 5 straight classes in a row, and I'm doing this because I want to see if our staff is being consistent in terms of the curriculum, in terms of what they're teaching and how it goes right back to our curriculum documents. And so far, over the last 3 visits, times 5, 15 visits, everyone's right on target. So that's the good thing. And we're seeing other things that we're helping them with, including, help them with different modes of instruction. But it's been a great start for me in terms of getting into classrooms, and that's going to continue until May. So yeah, that's what my big project has been so far this year. Yes, ma'am.
Will there be a cumulative GPA for each year, or will this only be available?
Yeah, there's a GPA after every year. Yeah, it's calculated after every year. Yeah, but not for the quarters. Okay, so you can look at the quarter GPA, but don't really pay attention to it too much. Yes, there are. So we go into the bathrooms. I shouldn't say we. Well, actually, I do. But we have the security guards do a sweep and the custodians do a sweep every day. I mean, multiple times during the day. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I know the officers were here earlier with, regarding school safety and everything. With the frequent emails of the shooter pictures, IG, all this stuff that's happening, even what's happening now, back-to-back of school shootings in general. Like, I know with this generation, because technology's so advanced, because they're easily accessible to so much stuff, it's like the safety of the schools, because it's kind of, you get the email and immediately the heart stops, and oh my God, like, could it be? And you just never know. And being a former graduate from here, it was pretty crazy back in my day, but with it now, like, do we need to really? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if there's extra.
Yeah, there are, and I don't know when you graduated. I'm not going to ask you that question, but I graduated here from 1971. There was no such thing as security here in 1971. It was just an open campus, and that.
My son just showed me a video the other day of like two girls fighting. I'm like, already we just started. Like, you know, like.
Yeah, I hear you. That's all changed. There are cameras everywhere except in the classrooms and bathrooms and the locker rooms, obviously. So we have cameras everywhere, which has changed the culture of this building dramatically. We have 10 security guards. There's a security guard at every entry that we have in this building, and we now have 2 Greenwich policemen. There are school resource officers. They are here every day, and they not only do they teach classes, they coach, but they are also here to make connections with kids. And that's what I wanted to talk about before you all took off on me. Making connections with kids and your kids making connections with the school is probably the most important thing that you can do in 9th grade. And that's why I had Peter Giorgio come up here and talk about that, Mrs. Foster talk about clubs and activities, Mr. Pereira here talking about what goes on in student life. Making connections now. If you have concerns about your child and their grades and stuff like that, reach out to your house team. Those are your people. The house administrator and the guidance counselor. Those are your people. Those are people you're going to be with for 4 years. So reach out to them. They will support you. I go over the grades with every house administrator, all the grades, well, not all the grades, but the students that are having difficulty during progress reports. So 8 times a year, I'm looking at everybody's grades in the school. So we keep an eye on, somebody asked a question if the counselors were looking at Schoology grades. Well, we're not looking at, it's impossible to look at all the grades that are posted daily, but at progress report time and at the end of the marking period, they're looking at the grades, and I expect them all to come down to me with a plan. How are you going to help this child do better in this class? So that's where our focus is. But our focus is also on safety and security. It's our highest focus. And I had to send out an email to all of you, I think it was Friday, and then I had to also send another one out when all the buildings in this district were on Secure the Building. So it's not easy going to school and working in a school like it used to be when I first started here, and I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, but the kids are our best resource. If they tell us what's going to happen, we can work on it. So that's one of the things that's a message I want to send to you tonight. It's the biggest message. If they know something's going to happen in the building, please have them go tell an adult, any adult, doesn't matter. And that keeps us safest. And you brought up those the fights, and I was going to bring that up tonight because it's supposed to be a happy meeting. But you know what? I'm glad you did, because we're talking about 4 individuals that have been getting into fights. No one else out of 2,700 students. So we're taking a close look at those students and making sure that that's not going to reoccur. So I don't want you to think that this has been, the Wild Wild West. It has not. It has not. And some of you in this room know me from other schools I've been principal of, and I don't run my ship this way. So we will be taking care of those issues as they come along. But, things come along. Other things will pop up, and it's the way teenagers are, and where, you live with them. I don't anymore, thank God. But All right, so if you have any other questions, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here all night until all your questions are answered. So come on up. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Appreciate it.